What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a good transfer show, or like good. We have something to talk about. Actually, we have a lot to talk about because it feels like it feels like Giuntoli kind of took like 3-4 weeks off in a very key stage of the window, or I thought was a key stage in the window, to prep for the season, and basically was like, I'm gonna wait until about 1 week and a half before we kick off the season, and then I'm gonna actually buy the players we need, or the personnel we need, more so than the players we need. And it's all kicking off. It really is kicking off. It's actually going all over the place because targets that seem to be a main target, quote unquote, like Galeno is not a main target right now, even though Pedula is still convinced we're bringing in two wingers, so he potentially still could be an option for us to bring in. But it's flipping with some crazy twists. Koopmeiners obviously being the main one. Nothing on Toribo today, but especially on Gonzalez and Koopmeiners. But Koopmeiners being, well, the massive breaking news. And we didn't even make an offer. That's actually the strange part, that the Koopmeiners one dominated the news today, and it was all about he's close, it's gonna happen, but it had absolutely nothing to do with Juve putting a bid on the table for Koopmeiners, because that has not happened, or like the bid that is gonna push Atalanta to sell Koopmeiners, that still hasn't been made. So we have a lot to talk about. Excuse me. Before we do that, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and thanks everybody who's watching. I see a lot of people talking about the sponsor for the new shirt, but I haven't seen anything. And if it's Italian Airways or whatever, then it's probably not a good deal as well, because we probably are not going to get a lot of money, which is, well, not good, because we need all the money we need. So I've not seen anything, and actually by the small rumors, even if they're not trustworthy, it's not going to be a European brand. So let's see what's going to happen there. Julian saying a lot of people were panicking, then I showed up on the live guaranteeing nothing would happen, and we all know what happens next. Yeah, that's actually usually. I remember, I don't know how many people were on the channel 2 Januaries ago when we signed Vlahovic. I think like it's probably 2 windows. I remember Julian doing a video, or was it a live? Or something. He did something, a daily video or live, because I was out that day, I remember correctly. And he was saying nothing is going to happen with Vlahovic. And then like 2-3 hours later, it's Vlahovic kind of here we go. So if you need some positive news, text Julian. He will tell you the opposite, and then the positive news will come through. Romano said we made a 55 mil bid. Well, it's not made official right now. It's basically we are going to make the exclusive one with Romano is also weird because it's not really exclusive. We have been hearing about this bid for about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months now. Weeks, excuse me, not months, weeks. And that bid never came in. So when he says exclusive, it's not really exclusive because we're all knowing that was going to happen. But I don't think that bid went in. As of now, I don't think that bit went in, because otherwise all sources will be talking about that bit. I think it's a bit we have prepared, but I don't think that bit went officially in right now. Reverse Jinx is the name of the game. It is. It really is. But yeah, let's talk about the news. Let's talk about the breaking news, the Koopmeiners news, because actually, I'm watching this one on the plane. That's crazy. Where are you going, Apex? And safe flight, by the way. The Koopmeiners news was, well, breaking for me this morning, because I actually turned out everything. I went to sleep a good 20 minutes or so before that article from Gasperini came out. So I woke up to something crazy. I needed to check like 3 times. I thought it was fake, because I saw it everywhere. I was like, no, the source, like, I don't read, what was it, the Corriere di Bergamo or something like that. Like, I don't read that paper. I don't have that paper. I don't have access to the paper. So I was like, that's made up. That's a crazy quote, basically, where he came out basically saying that he, like, out of nowhere, basically, which is kind of weird. Koopmeiners apparently told Atalanta, Gasperini, whatever, I want to join Juve. I'm not showing up anymore. And he's basically saying this is a bit crazy. We're being kept hostage. And then Mirko Di Natale came out later today, a couple of hours ago, saying that he's not in training, not because he doesn't want to train for the move, but because he has a prescription from a doctor saying that he is stressed out and he cannot show up in training. That's another way to say, I want to transfer. There's no way he's stressed out, out of the blue, So he's not in training. He's not training with Atalanta. Gasperini made it abundantly clear that he's gone. He said he's not going to play for us. He's not going to be at the Super Cup. Against Real Madrid. Is that this week? He's just not going to play. It's not this week. It's the following Wednesday or something like that. And Julian says, yeah, classic doctor's note. That's a doctor's note I got when... Actually, I went and watched Juve games in the past, and I needed a doctor's note so I can skip lectures that were obligated to attend. I went to the doctor, and I told him the truth, saying I was going to a game in Torino, a Juve game, and he made a prescription, and I didn't need to go to school. Basically, that's basically what happened with Koopmeiners. Like, he's not stressed out. He's just finding a reason to not show up in training, basically, and making sure that Atalanta cannot really do anything about that. That's basically what it is. But the story is that that's a story. Gasperini is pissed out. Now, I will say it really quickly because I know the news is that he's been promised a move. Last summer, he was promised a move because I think it was last summer, correct me if I'm wrong, that Napoli were in, but Napoli made a bid very, very late, and they told Koopmeiners it's not going to happen this season, but we promise you if another top club comes in the following season, so this season, we're very willing and we're very open to make that deal happen. That's basically the news. Now, what's missing from that news piece is that there's no mention of Atalanta saying to Koopmeiners, we will let you go, but we need that type of fee, or we need that at least around that amount for you. And then we're willing to let you go. A bit like Bremer, where he had a release clause, but the news was also if an offer close to that release clause came in this summer, we would have let go of Bremer. It didn't turn out like that. We knew Bremer, but that was kind of the news. So if Atalanta told Koopmeiners, we need a bid of 60 million, and Koopmeiners was cool. Like, next summer, if a bid comes in this summer for 60 million euros, you're going to let me go. Then there are two options. One, Atalanta didn't give an offer, didn't give a bid, or they said 50, but he played an excellent season. Atalanta won now more. Then I can see why Koopmeiners is completely pissed. But if the rumor is true that we are offering 55 million as a package, then that part cannot be true. Then it's very close, and if you promise something to a player, you make that happen. You make that work. So my 2 cents is that they just told him if a bid comes in, it's close, like whatever, you can go. However, and that's where I'm siding with Atalanta a little bit, or I can understand Atalanta, because let's say this was Bremer and we wanted 60 million for Bremer, and Man U come in and they're offering 40. 20 millions of a difference, and we actually believe he's worth 60, and Bremer's like, I'm not showing up in training. We all as fans will be pissed. Even if you're like, move him on, he doesn't want to be here, I still want my money. The club still wants that money. So I can see why Atalanta are furious. I can understand that, and I don't like that. Again, we don't have all the information. If the agreement was, if an offer comes in for close to 50 or whatever, you can go, and Atalanta's like, no, we want even more this summer, even though we promised you last summer that the fee must be around what they're offering right now, then I can see why Koopmeiners is extremely pissed with it, But we don't have that news. So as of now, I just need to look at face value, and I don't really like that as a player. If a player is doing that, because yes, it's quote unquote nice if it's a player you're chasing and he's forcing a move like that. But if it's a player you're trying to sell or want to keep, but he wants to go, and this happens to you, you'll be looking at it and you're like, man, this is horrible. Like, what are you doing to me, basically? So I get both sides. But that means that we need to make a bid. And we need to make a bid that's close, that's acceptable, and whatever, so on, so on. what I also want to say is that it's never an issue because these things happen. I've seen journalists today writing articles in tweet form, basically using all characteristics. Actually, I think paying for the blue check so they can use more characteristics to talk about it's wrong, it's blah blah blah, it's this, blaming Juve for having an agreement with a player before agreeing with the club. And these journalists are a bunch of hypocrites because every deal that has been done right now by any club on this planet, they first agree terms with the players before they go talk to the team. I know it's not quote unquote legal. If you go by the rules, it's not legal. However, every single club on this planet does it. That's why no club is trying to sue another club for talking with a player before they talk to them, because they're all doing it, you know. So when you have journalists complaining about that, it's only because Juve is involved. That's the only reason, and I love that part because it's always the same. When Juve is involved, certain rules that quote unquote get broken are not funny anymore. But when their teams are breaking those quote unquote rules, it's quiet. It's social media quiet. It's done. Nobody talks about it. So on, so on. You know, I don't think Giuntoli told Koopmeiners go on a strike. I don't think that. I really don't think that. And even if he did that, that's not nice. I get it. It's not that nice. But clubs force players for a move. They will tell players. Real Madrid were telling Euro, wait out for a season and we are going to get you on a free. And Euro was actually doing that. He was doing that until Lille said, you're not going to play a single second for a year if you don't take that Manu bid. And he didn't want to take that bid until Manu actually doubled the wages almost. And he was like, yeah, cool. You know, I can still go to Real Madrid in a couple of seasons if they still want me, you know. That is what happens. But for some reason, when Juve is involved, certain journalists act like this is all new. Act like this is the first time these things are happening, which is kind of funny in some way. It is funny in some way. Let me see the comments before we move on. And people, the prediction league is about to kick off next week, you know. So if you want to join the members club, join the prediction league. You can win jerseys, vouchers, and stuff. Norbert won this year's prediction league. So actually, it's always close, the prediction league. It's very close. So it's very easy. Join the members club, join the Discord group, and join the prediction league, and you can win an official jersey and more things. Wallpapers are back. I know that didn't work out last year, but I fixed the quality finally. I hope so. So you can join the prediction league. Ale, hot take. A few weeks ago, we were linked with Retigi. Genoa tell Juve 40 million. Did they tell Juve 40 million? I didn't see that. I always thought it was 25 plus. But yesterday, Atalanta are in dire need of a striker. They closed that same deal for 22 plus bonuses. I don't think it was 40 million, Giuseppe, if I'm being completely honest. Because if that was reported, I would have had a good laugh for 40 million, to be honest. Zero chance we offer 55 and there's no agreement. I don't believe it. 55 will get us Cope. Yeah, I don't think that agreement went in, or that bid went in right now. Unless that's the reason Koopmeiners is getting pissed, because that bid actually went in. And Atalanta like, no, we want 60 or whatever. You know, then, okay, fine. I get Koopmeiners, I get the situation. But I don't think that bid of 55 went in, to be honest, because that would have been accepted by now. Or like we would have known if that's close to being accepted. If we offer 55, we will get him. Will we? Have we? Yeah, we will get him. If I think we will offer. And now they told the world that he's not going to play once Juve. So, like, that situation is kind of done. You know, you cannot go back playing because, like, how are you going to get him back in the club? You know, because being a coach, you're like, you didn't show up for training because you wanted to move, and now you're staying, and now I need to play you as a main guy because I'm not going to bench you. So it's a messed up situation that's kind of laid out how this is going to go down. The deal is on. Yesterday's statement by Gasperini was just saving his ass and making Cope the bad guy before Atalanta eventually sell him. After the match with Real Madrid, yeah, same feeling. If he was our player, I would sell. It's not a healthy to keep someone. I would sell. I said it. Like, I agree, but it's still you want that fee. You're not gonna lower the fee because a player doesn't really show up. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Um, you can tell someone on a low price. You can sell one on a low price just because he wants to go. I understand Atalanta as well. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I get that. Name those journalists. Which one? Which one? What was I talking about? Remind me and I will name them. Um, how do I join? Join what? The members club? It's a button. You can click the button under the video. I think people who are members, let Jake know how to join. But there should be a members button under the video somewhere. For some reason it's not showing, which is kind of odd. Otherwise, I'll put it in the chat in a second. Fabrizio also said that a bid already went in, so they had time to think about that. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that bid went in. If even today, like if that bid went in, it would be all over the place. It would be not just Romano talking about it. It would be so many journalists talking about it. I don't really think that. I don't think that bid went officially. Otherwise, that would have been popping up. And if that bid went in, you or me personally, I would assume that that would have been accepted right now. I would assume that would have been accepted by now. That's just me, by the way. Because like somebody said earlier on, the situation is toxic. It is toxic. You have a player who's not willing to train. You have a player who openly came to the training session or whatever, how it went down, I don't know, and said, get me to Juve, basically. How are you not really gonna move that player on then, basically? That's how I view it. So that's why I think it will that bid is not being officially done by Juve. It hasn't been done by Juve. And Jake, the link is in the chat if you want to join. And if you want to join the members club and the prediction league, you just reach out to me on Twitter. It can be on the personal account or on the main account or on Instagram, and I will add you, and then you can participate. For me, it went in, and this is why Kobe is pissed. You can look at it that way. But then it probably will be a bit that's too low to begin with. Fabrizio Romano is the best journalist in the world, and he even said he put his hands on fire that we bid. Nah, he's not the best journalist in the world, in my opinion. But yeah. But some bids summoned to Kobe and Toribo, so both answers pending with Nice and Atalanta. I don't see how a 55 bid is rejected unless it's 40 plus 10 with bonuses that are unreachable or something like that. Yeah, if the bid says 55, but if the bid is actually 20 plus 35 in bonuses, I'm pushing it, then it's not really 55. So you also need to take everything with kind of a grain of salt. I think he said 50 plus 5, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he said. But still, you don't need to believe basically everything that's being said. But it's clear that he's close. He is close, even though the bid is not in. Yes, in. When your coach comes out, a bit like Motta did the other day. If you come out, as a coach or a sporting director or whatever, and you tell the world that these players are not part of the project, or you actually tell the world Koopmeiners is not playing for us because he wants to join Juve, then you're gonna make that deal happen, right? Because how are you gonna come back from that? To the fans as well, like how is Koopmeiners gonna show up for a new season and basically be like, nothing happened? You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Yeah. So that's that. I think Bedula has been the best journalist when it comes to Juve news this season, and I don't think it's been close as well. he had a redemption arc, even though he blocked me. I'm still confused why he blocked me. I never interacted with him. But he's having a fantastic transfer track record. He is, he's always on point. I think he said, if I'm not mistaken, when did we sold Sule? Was it the last week of July that we sold Sule? Anyways, I think 2 weeks before that, he said Sule out means Koopmeiners in, and Huisen out means Toribo in. And today he kind of retweeted that, saying that, here we go, that's what I said, that's what I've always been saying. Even the Galeno stuff, he always said that before Adeyemi said, no, only talks for Galeno. And when the Nico Gonzalez thing kind of came out, he came out again saying that as first it's Gonzalez, and then 3 days ago he said actually he's number one choice right now. And right now Gonzalez feels like the number one choice, and we will talk about him in a sec as well. But he has been fantastic. This summer, Padula. You need to give him his credit. Padula's cooking, but I hate how he always puts an end to Koopmeiners bit from Fabrizio. Yeah, I mean, if he has different sources, then Romano did the same thing with Adeyemi. And he was right at the end, I think. But when Romeo and Di Marzio said a bid is ready for Adeyemi, Romano said no bid is ready for Adeyemi. So they all do it. Is Toribo official? No, it's not official. There's just a good vibe, according to Di Marzio, that it could be official or it could be done, not official, this week, basically. That's kind of the news right now. Nothing really new on Toribo, more so that it's closer. Thank you very much for the daily videos you upload. Pleasure. Like doing it. Thanks for watching, as always. Aggressive versus Pedula and Romano. Okay, let's talk about the other news, because the Koopmeiners thing, it's what it is. Right now, the only news you need to expect about Koopmeiners is basically, here we go. Because between what happened today and what's going to happen until the here we go is us, Juve, putting in a bid. And that bid needed to be accepted. It's not more of Atalanta do not want to sell right now. It's more about when are Juve going to make that bid, and are Atalanta going to accept that bid? That's just the only thing that will stand between today and Koopmeiners joining whenever. So let's see. That's just a waiting game right now. On Toribo, really quickly, same thing. We talked with Nice. It's getting closer. It's about quote unquote details, agreeing on how we're gonna pay the installments, when will that release clause the obligation kick in, and the bonuses, whatever. But the bid is basically, or like the total package fee wise, has basically been accepted by Nice. It's more about when are we getting our money, how much are we gonna get upfront, basically these type of things that we need to be resolved. When that will come out, it will come out. Maybe this week, maybe not. I hope this week, because we need to keep moving. I need to get him in ASAP. It's already too late, in my opinion. But that's basically the news for Toribo. The other thing I want to talk about is Nico Gonzalez, because probably from last week until, let's say, yesterday, it was more about Adeyemi's not going to happen, and it was Galeno. It was like, he is the next one up right now. We are in talks with his agent. It's not that difficult to reach an agreement. Actually, Nico Shira said that we agreed with Nico Gonzalez on 3 million euros, so on. You have Pedula saying that Porto won around 30, plus a couple of bonuses. And then you have today Fabrizio Romano saying that Nottingham Forest made a bid for Galeno. And Juve were looking at him as well. But Porto said no to that bid because they won 40 million euros. Now, a couple of hours before that news, we got that Nico Gonzalez news from everybody. Name the journalists. They all talked about Nico Gonzalez. And it makes more sense right now, because Romano talked about 40 million for Galeno. We're not going to pay 40 million for any winger right now. It's just not going to happen. Otherwise, we would have put that closer on the table for Adeyemi. We would have at least put that on the table for Dortmund to be rejected, whatever. So I don't think we're gonna move for Galeno at this moment in time if the price tag is indeed 40 million euros. So Nico Gonzalez. People are talking about Chiesa. I've said it again, and I will say it again because there are a lot of people in the chat. Hit the like button. If Chiesa stays and he extends his contract, even if it's for 1 year, that's a rule, that's an agreement. If he stays, Chiesa, and he signs an extension, can be 1 year, I will give away a Chiesa jersey, not another jersey. You can pick home, away, third kit. It needs to have Chiesa on the back for someone who's in the chat that day when I'm doing the giveaway. I will announce it obviously, so somebody in the chat can win that Chiesa jersey, because I don't believe he's gonna stay. I still think he's gone. I don't see how the club is gonna extend him even for a season after everything that has been said, like publicly, basically, in front of the media. I don't see how you're gonna come back from that, even with a 1 year extension. Excuse me, because next summer you kind of have the same issue. He's 1 year. By when does the Chiesa extension must be signed for us to win the jersey? No, not by when. Okay, he needs to sign it right now. Obviously, I will rephrase it. He needs to sign it before the end of September. Otherwise I'm forget about it. He needs to sign. Otherwise, I'm not gonna wait until the end of the season. If he stays and he signs a new deal, even if it's a 1 year extension by the end of September, but even if it's a 1 year extension, I think it will be signed by the end of August. If it happened, I will give away a jersey. So that's the rules. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Nico Gonzalez, completely off market right here. Nico Gonzalez is now the main target, or is tipped to be the main target right now, for a fee, let's say around 30 million euros, basically. And to make it a more spicy transfer window, Fiorentina are in talks with McKennie, hoping to convince McKennie to join them. We know what the demands are for McKennie, so a lot of convincing will be needed. I don't see how Fiorentina are going to pay McKennie. The money is on right now, maybe, but definitely not the 4 million he apparently is asking for. There's absolutely no chance Fiorentina are going to pay that. So we need to see how that goes. But it feels like, and that's been the report as well, that they're two separate deals. That the club just want to get Nico Gonzalez done well at this point. No matter if they want Arthur or McKennie or whatever player they want. It's two separate deals right now. That's basically what the reporting is. So Nico Gonzalez, 30 million euros. I don't hate the player. I actually like the player. I have nothing against him, but he's inconsistent. He is inconsistent. I've seen a lot of people being convinced that he can get, double digit, goals and assists total, GA wise. So let's say 10 goals, 5 assists. If he gives you that, that's solid, especially from where we're coming, it's solid. Obviously, it's not Messi, Neymar, and Suarez or Firmino, Mane, and Salah type of numbers. I get it, that's fine. But my concern with Gonzalez is that even though I like him, he's inconsistent. He is inconsistent. He's a good player on his day, and every time I watched him, Amira just text me on Twitter, Instagram, personal account, or the main account, and I will fix that. I will pattern that up so you can join the prediction league. But thanks for joining the members club as well. Just text me and I will fix it after the stream. But that's my issue with Nico Gonzalez. He is a bit inconsistent. He can play different positions, which is cool, I guess, and comes in handy as well. If you sign Nico Gonzalez for 30 million euros, let's say it's 30 million euros, and at the end of the season he has 9 goals and 7 assists, that's fantastic in my opinion. That's like, wow, that's good. From where we are coming from, that's very good. Do I think he will get that? not based on what I've seen. I think it's in it. It's in it, but Chiesa has that in it, but it's not coming out. So that's always kind of the issue right now. I see people saying Galeno is better. I cannot talk about that. I cannot speak on that because I've not seen Galeno play. So I will be absolutely lying if I said I want Galeno because he's better. I've not watched Galeno play. So I just need to talk about Nico Gonzalez right now. But yeah, like if he gets those type of numbers, like even if it's 15 in total GA, that's good. Now, my concern as well is in Europe. I think I want to say he's not ready for it. He doesn't strike me like a player who will do well in Europe as well. He's not pacey enough. He's not really tacky enough, in my opinion, to have an edge on better opponents. That's how I view Nico Gonzalez. But every time I watched him play last summer or last season for Fiorentina, every time I watched him play, and maybe it's just by chance that I just picked out those games, I always looked at him like he's a very good player. He causes issues. He causes issues, but even in those games, he had moments where he just disappeared as well. But I was like, fine, he's not my player, so I shouldn't worry about that, But he was excited at times, and then he disappeared in games. Now that he's linked to us, I need to acknowledge that, yeah, it's inconsistent. But just watching Fiorentina and not knowing we were getting linked with him, it was like, yeah, exciting. And then it's dropping off in a second half or so on. And I was like, yeah, whatever, it's a Fiorentina player, not me. But it feels like he is the main target right now. That he is one of the two, according to Padula. It's still two something. Chiesa's gonna say. But he's one of the two wingers we're trying to sign. Are Fiorentina gonna sell? Yes, they're gonna sell because he told them he wants to leave. I know Fiorentina want Koopmeiners, and Genoa already said sold Retigui. Are they gonna sell Koopmeiners as well? It's up in the air, but it's still Genoa. If they got offered a good portion of cash, then it's still Genoa. They're probably gonna accept it. That's how it goes down there. So maybe, but it's hanging. It depends on much more than we putting 30 million euros on the table. That's all I'm saying. Nico Gonzalez played in a similar system as Omota once, high motor, and can press all game and score 12 goals, only one pen. Yeah, like he scored a lot of goals last season. He's a good player, but performance-wise, eye test-wise, he has ups and downs. A bit like Locatelli. Like I've said it many times. I watch Locatelli games where I'm like, wow. And then it's 50 minutes of disaster, 20 minutes of disappearing, then he pops up again. That's, for me, an issue, especially if you're a key figure in that squad, Is there a chance we will get both Galeno and Nico Gonzalez? I think there's a chance we get two wingers. I'm not sure if it's those two, but maybe, potentially. I think we advertise these journals way too much. We should start saying sources say. I don't get it. If I say Fabrizio is a source, people know he's a source. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Do you think we'll sign two wingers? Oh, that's what I just said. I still think it's possible. But I will be stunned if it's 30 million euros for Nico Gonzalez and 40 million euros for Galeno. That will absolutely stun me. So that's why I said maybe it's a player that we are not being talking about at this moment in time. Ali by Wang. Oh no, I read that one out. Let me scroll down. The Dream, McKennie 15, Tech 3, Kostic 7, Arthur 8, 33 for Nico Gonzalez. Oh, our dreams are not big, Wando, are they? But I agree, that's the fees you're going to get for these players. But they're not exciting dreams in terms of transfer fees. Let me see. 8 million for Arthur are not good for Juve. I want to see Chiesa with Motta because maybe Allegri pro Chiesa, but we're not going to see that. I don't think we're going to see that as well. He's a good player, but nothing more. We mentioned their names way too much. That's what I'm saying, but whatever. Yeah, but like if I come on and I do a video about sources say, people are like, you're making shit up. Then I will get attacked rather than these journalists. So I'm going to mention where that source is coming from. That's the source. Fabrizio Romano is the source. If I make a video and I talk about sources, say, I can make up stuff. So I'm not going to do that. We are going to mention the sources, and everybody can make their own mind up about these sources. Surely Conceição will be the same price as Nico. I think it will be slightly more, but Conceição, who I have watched, is also very inconsistent. He's very inconsistent. He's very left-footed. He's good at it, by the way, but it's predictable and it's inconsistent. So maybe the transfer fee is close to the same, but I think then at that point the club will rather go for a player who is proven in Serie A more so than getting a guy out of Porto and asking him to do the same thing for the same price, unless he has something that clearly stands out compared to Gonzalez. And maybe that's his left foot, maybe, I don't know. But he's also a very inconsistent player, Conceição. I don't think he's ready right now, if that makes any sense. I think the club is looking at that the same way, because as somebody mentioned about, similarities for Nico Gonzalez, the way he played, then it makes sense. I recorded a podcast with Kanan. I want to drop it, but it's always breaking news, and it's not outdated because we talked about Koopmeiners if he were to join, and Galeno if he were to join, and Nico Gonzalez. So it was very interesting to hear a completely different opinion. It's a good podcast. So I will ask everybody to watch that when I will drop it. Probably this weekend I will drop that. But what he told me about Galeno is that he presses. He presses a lot, on the counter. He could be very dangerous and all those things. So I can see why Mota will like him. I can see that. But again, I've not watched Galeno up close, so I don't know. Gonzalo Lukman combo or Galeno and Nico Gonzalez. I'm not sold on Lukman. I know he had a good Euro final, but he's also Europa League final, but he's also an inconsistent player. If you watch Atalanta, it's not always a Lukman show. There are many games where he doesn't play well. So he had a good Euros and a good Europa League, and that's good. It was fantastic for him, I guess. But he's also, in my opinion, not a very consistent player, because what he did there, people think that's what he does every week. Not really, I've seen him come off the bench a few times causing issues, but I've seen him start many games and do absolutely nothing. So we are linked with inconsistent players. That's what I'm going to say. Besides Koopmeiners, he has been very consistent. Douglas Luiz has been very consistent. Nah, Alex is saying, oh, I thought you said Koopmeiners. Yeah, Lukman is way inconsistent. He is inconsistent, period. Because his highs and his lows are very extreme with these type of players, and for me that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. I'd rather have somebody who is steady in between rather than have extreme highs and extreme lows, and you see those extremes way too much, and I'd rather have somebody who's just smack down the middle every single match day. I'd rather have that personally. But yeah, that's that part of the news. Now, somebody said Rugani, he is getting closer to Ajax. I listened to an Ajax watcher, I listened to a 2-minute video he did, and they want Rugani, but they're trying to sell players. They're trying to sell defenders as well, or move up defenders. And the news is that it's still going to be a dry loan, 1-year loan, but they are going to cover the entire wage package. So Juve are not going to pay any wages for loaning out Rugani to Ajax. I'm still going to say that extension is crazy. Like, that extension is... I don't know. Somebody who actually thinks he can make sense out of it, try to convince me why it makes sense to extend 31-year-old Rugani to loan him out on a free to Ajax. Somebody, please tell me why that was a good move, because I've absolutely no idea. Like, just let him go then. Like, do not extend them. If you're not gonna make money out of it, then I don't know. It feels like a waste. I don't get it. Like, I'm absolutely confused why that actually happened. So, um, let's see. Galeno is Luis Diaz 2.0. His numbers in the Champions League and League are double-digit goals and double-digit assists last season. Plays most on the left, like uh, Diaz. Diaz is also a very inconsistent player. If you mean Luis Diaz from Liverpool, he's a very inconsistent player. You can ask Liverpool fans; they are happy to replace him with Anthony Gordon, who, by the way, is a very good player. I'm not saying that Anthony Gordon is crap, but Luis Diaz misses a hell of a lot of chances, like insane amount of chances. If you actually watch Liverpool, but he's high energy. He has a big engine. He keeps going, but it not always looks clean, does it? It looks more about I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna miss a hell of hell of a lot of chances before I convert that one chance. So very wasteful player, Luis Diaz. Not a player I want to see at my club, to be honest. Not saying that we have better options right now, but in an ideal world. Maybe Juve are trying to get Rugani's value up and still sell for 20 next summer if he plays well. Yeah, that's not gonna that's not gonna happen. Being on loan at Ajax, I will tell you that for free. I don't think Ajax even play Champions League football. I know Feyenoord lost Arne Slot, but right now, on paper, Feyenoord and PSV have the better squad again, and they should be competing for 1 and 2, and Ajax shouldn't be up there, if I'm being completely honest. So, I'm not sure. If that was the idea, then I don't get it, because who's going to buy him? If you're going to loan him out to Ajax or Genoa or Bologna, I don't see anyone coming in for 31-year Rugani paying 20 million. So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. Was it more about Giuntoli just playing it safe and saying, okay, it's a very cheap extension, and if we don't get our targets, at least we have Rugani who's reliable. But if I can see that we are going to hit our targets, then he can walk. But are we hitting our targets? Because we're also willing to let Diallo go. So that means you have Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, and Todibo. You have Cambiasso. You have Savona right now, who extended and is part of the first team. Savona, by the way, I don't think he's ready. He's a very versatile player, so maybe that's why he's in the squad. He can be very steady, but I'm not so convinced about Savona. But he is in the first squad right now. He's gonna stay. And Rui as well, potentially. Gonna sign a new deal and gonna stay. So we need to keep an eye open on that. So maybe they're like, okay, Rugani, you can leave. It was more about coverage, more about playing it safe. If we didn't get our targets, we still at least have Rugani to be the backup. Maybe, but I'm not so sure. You should be convinced about your own doing. You should be believing that you will get certain things over the line rather than wasting money. Yes, Ajax are going to pay the wage, but if he comes back or he has an injury or so on, I'm not wishing an injury, but you're paying again a player you don't want at the club, So I don't get that deal. I really, really, really do not understand that deal, if I'm being completely honest. Very strange. One of the strangest things we have done, and we have done some very weird stuff, like, for being honest. But let's see how that will go. Are the news about Chiesa's father talk to you legit? Nope. The sources are absolutely horrendous. So I'm going to say no right now. Facundo, Rugani, Diallo, won't we need at least one more center back? Well, that's what I said right now. That Cabal can play center back as well. Savona can play certain positions, but that's like desperation mode. But Cabal can play center back as well. So it depends on how we're going to play. But that's it, basically. They got Todibo, they got Cabal, and they're like, okay, we can let Rugani go. But I think you should have planned that. You should have believed that you could have done what you're trying to do right now rather than, give Rugani 1.5 million again, and he's going to be here for a long time. So very, very weird move when it comes to Rugani. But yeah, that's basically the rundown of the news day. The Koopmeiners thing, massive. The Todibo thing, kind of the same. And the Nico Gonzalez thing is a big update right now, that he is the first choice right now, and that he is a player we are trying to pursue, a player that we're trying to sign. So very interesting. It's going to be extremely interesting right now. What's going to happen in the next couple of days? We play on Sunday against Atletico, so I'm not expecting anything to happen on Sunday. I do expect something between now and Saturday, and all the other things starting from next week, more so than over the weekend. But man, season is close, man. It's really, really close. It's basically next week. We play next Monday, I think it is 19. We play against Como, so that's a week and a half, man. It's a week and a half, and what we saw against the next gen is what we're gonna see against Como. That's the lineup. Timothy Weah gonna play. Yildiz is gonna play. Douglas, Thuram, like that's basically the starting 11. What we saw out there right now, that's the starting 11 for Como. Is it enough? Should be enough. Should be winning against Como. I get it, fair. But we need to get these players in ASAP, because Roma's getting closer and closer and closer, and I think we need more against Roma. I think we need more against Roma. Are there tampering laws in football? How is it we can negotiate with players under contract for 3 years still? You cannot do that, but every single club in the world does that, so that's why no club is gonna make an issue about it, because that's just kicking in your own window. They all do it, but actually you're not really allowed to do it, but they all do it, so that's why it's like whatever. Alex, the rule does exist. It does exist. You need to go to a club, ask for permission to talk with the player and his agent, and then you can do whatever you want. That's actually a rule, but no club does that. So it's a written rule, but nobody does that, so it's whatever. Every club does it. It's a rule. It's a rule, but nobody obviously is following that rule. Not Atalanta, not Juve, not Inter, not Verona, not Como, not Avellino in Serie C. No club is following those rules, but yeah. We need to complete one Alcaraz type of deal where we get a 30 to 50 buy option player, which we don't intend to pay, but we still need like a backup striker. Well, we don't need one because Milik is going to stay. That's also the news. Milik is going to stay. And if somebody watch the channel, follow the channel, a lot of you do, I've always said that at the end of the day, Milik probably will stay and the club will be perfectly fine with it. Even though his wages are 3.5 million, so on. It's just one worry less, basically. And if you have an out-and-out number 9, Vlahovic, then your backup should be an out-and-out number 9. Because I don't think you can go from plan A is Vlahovic, but plan B is Raspadori, basically. A completely different style. Like your plan B in terms of your plan A striker is injured cannot be we're going to do something completely different and we're not going to play with a target number 9. We're going to play with a false 9. You cannot really do that. If your starting number 9 whatever is a completely different profile, then I can see why you would move on from Milik. That's why I've always said that I think at the end of the day he will end up staying and the club will be perfectly fine with Milik staying, and that's basically what's happening. Milik is going to stay. Rugani signed a 2-year contract, so next year if he does well and Ajax like him, maybe they make an offer. No, Spiros. That's something that will be absolutely stun me. If Ajax apply that method, Ajax are going to buy Rugani if he has a good season. I really, that would be so not the Ajax way. That would be so not the Ajax way. So that's why it would absolutely stun me. Sorry, I don't know what to do, brother, but can I write you on Twitter? Where can I write you? Yeah, just DM me on Twitter. The Bianconeri Zone account, my personal account, or DM me on Instagram, my personal account, Bianconeri Zone account, whatever, There are a lot of ways to reach out to me and the account. Just reach out on Twitter or Instagram, and I will sort that out. You can't write me on Twitter? That's not possible. The DMs are open. Because I got 1,000 DMs a day from spam accounts. So If Nico Gonzalez comes, we will have 3 players on the right, Chiesa, Wea, and Nico, and Yildiz will be on loan on the left. What do you mean? Oh, you think Chiesa's going to say Chiesa can play on the left as well. Wea can play on the other side as well. You got no premium, but you don't need to have premium to reach out. Because I can let you see how many spams I get. Then reach out to me on my personal account on Twitter. That's still possible. I find it funny how we're letting go players for free now, but we weren't let Chesney, who forced out for free to Saudi for 20 mil a season. That is funny, but Chesney has value. The other players have no value. Sometimes you can DM if you're not verified, but I unchecked that, so everybody should be able to DM the main account. You can check that out. I will look into it, but just reach out to me on my personal account then. But yeah, people, I'm gonna wrap this one up because I covered everything. Appreciate everybody who watched. Like the video, subscribe if you're watching this as well. I'll be back probably tomorrow with a call-in show. I will do a call-in show tomorrow because I think a lot of you want to have something to say, so you will have a platform to say stuff. So stay tuned tomorrow. Call-in show probably with some more breaking news. I'm assuming, even if it's ingoing, outgoing. Let's see. But it's gonna be a busy week. Actually, it's gonna be like next week in general. Like it's built up to Como. I cannot believe it. That's already here. I remember coming on for the end of the season, and I was like, oh, thank God the season is over. And now I'm like, thank God it's starting, but with a little backtracking, I'm like, it's not really ready, but it's exciting to be back. So next week, it's obviously going to be transfer related, but it's also going to be built up to Como, and I cannot wait to watch that first game of the season. But yeah, people, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I will speak to you guys back again tomorrow. Same time. Ciao.